I get it.
Mbijan raganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. What's Nsila ID soto.
That's sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara Allah service o tariya.
Bare
mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata another enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi ma nin domorol ni fana beteata. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
baraka ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Baraka.
Him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
Hello and welcome to the brunch on Kerfatu Live. This is our weekly take on current affairs that over the last 7 days. The major story, of course, being the verdict is now out. Bailo, a member of the Junglers, that is the hit squad that existed during the dictatorship of Jammeh, has been prosecuted and convicted, sentenced to life imprisonment for human rights abuses when he was serving in that unit. He is the first to have been prosecuted in this fashion, though we have reports that other cases may come in the United States and in Switzerland, where alleged members of Jammeh's hit squads or people connected with the atrocities are being held. Now the news have now filtered down to the people of the Gambia with emotional greetings, welcoming emotional feelings coming from the family, friends of one of the cases that bylaw has been tried, that is the killing of journalist Data Hyderabad. Well, that will be our main focus today, but of course we will expand and know more about the case itself and what the verdict now means for Gambians, the Gambia government, and all the victims who are waiting for justice. With me in the studio is journalist Yusuf Taylor of Gainago, or Flex. He's been following these cases and other TRRC-related cases very closely. Then I also have Fatoumata Sandeng, while herself, of course, a victim of the, her family, of course, victims of the Jammeh tyranny, who actually is based in Germany and, in fact, have been very close to the trial. Fatoumata is here in the studio. Welcome, Fatoumata.
Thank you.
Flex. Good. And like I said, we will focus more on the implications for Gambian journalism, being, of course, one of the cases in the high-profile killing of editor Data Hyderabad. So that's why I have in the studio the president of the Gambia Press Union, Muhammed S.B. Bah. Muhammed, welcome.
It's a pleasure having me. Thank you.
Good. So let's go to Flex. You have been covering this case and other TRRC-related matters. For the first time, we have somebody who's been prosecuted, even though outside the Gambia, for these crimes. By law, we have been processed for 3 cases or so, but one of them, of course, being Data Hyderabad. What are the other cases?
So with the other 2, which he has been prosecuted, that he has been given a life imprisonment in this German court in Sili. We have Usman Silla, who is an attempted murder.
Usman Silla, the lawyer.
Yes, the lawyer Usman Silla. They were trying to kill him, but he survived. The TRRC says through divine intervention that he was lucky to survive. And then the other one who they finished him off was Dauda Nyasi. He was a former soldier. And Mr. Nyasi was alleged to be one of those who were involved in some sort of rebellion in another country, and then he returned. And they were suspecting that he was going to overthrow the government of Yahya Jammeh, and they caught him and killed him off. But there are other cases which he is not being held for, but obviously he has been implicated on.
So he has been implicated in several cases?
In many. He has been involved in many. So, but the 3 is what they have pinned on him, and they have got a life imprisonment sentence for that. 50 West Africans, Ghanaians mostly.
He was involved in that.
He was also involved in that. He was who you call the jungler driver. So he was very instrumental driving assassins from A to B, where in some cases he would use his vehicle to block victims to allow the assassins to finish people off. So that is how involved he was. Because if he was not moving people from A to B, the killers would not get hold of those people. If he was not blocking victims' escape route, he would some of these victims would have escaped. But he played an instrumental role in that.
So there's something funny about it, because what we understand is that everything started, the very evidence that was presented against him, all started, by himself revealing what his role had been in this crisis when he first went to Germany. Isn't that what happened?
Yes, well, he tried to use the media, and then the media was used against him, because obviously he went to Germany. And from the information which we understand...
Now, when did Bai go to Germany? Was it during... It was still... Yeah, Jammeh was still in power. He fell out with Jammeh, or was he wanted for something else, or he just went thinking he can have asylum?
Well, in all his witness testimonies and in some of his statements, he kept claiming that he never got in touch with Jammeh per se directly, but I doubt that's the case. But he did try to escape after. I think it wasn't, please you can correct me, whether after 2006 or so. When was it that Bailo escaped? He did go to Germany eventually. Germany was where he escaped to. And
when he was making these revelations through Freedom Radio, Jammeh was still in power.
yes, he was still in power. Yes, Jammeh was still in power. And he did spend some time in Senegal, I understand as well. So I'm sure there must have been some sort of a transition of getting there and finding himself too.
What I found also interesting is he was, despite what he might have done, alleged to have done, he eventually looks like himself turned to be an activist against Jammeh. By trying to reveal, for example, it was from him that we first heard how the operations, that killed Deda happened.
Yes, in his famous interview at Freedom newspaper, the late Panderi Mbai, who did a very stellar job in getting him on to confess, he did highlight a number of names, and not only that, his colleagues who were still in the system were pursuing him not to make those revelations and not to go on record on Freedom newspaper. So, to some regard, he did have to go against his colleagues' wishes to expose them.
Good. So let's go to Fatoumata. You were based in Germany, so is Bailo, and you followed the case, I think, closely. Let me first ask, did you attend any session, any court hearing?
Yes, thank you, Lamin. Yeah, I was there for the opening of the case, and subsequently I received notes of every single trial. Because there are trial monitors that are in Germany who go students of the University of Göttingen.
Speak louder. Yeah, we shout.
But then I have a mic before me, I'm afraid shouting and
right, no
so
problem.
like I was saying, I was there for the opening of the trial, and every single trial we get notes of what happened in court, because there's an agreement with students from the University of Göttingen who would go there, law students. They will go and take notes and then translate that in English and then send it to us, but it's not everyone who has it, of course. It's just some of our organizations and some international organizations who have been following the cases and also are involved in popularizing the case. So yes, I was there for the opening and also been following the case keenly.
So while you were in Germany, when it was first announced that Bailo was arrested, he was living on his own there, perhaps on some asylum or something. Did he ever get asylum, or that it was while it was being processed that he got arrested?
No, Bailo was in Germany with asylum, and he was eventually able to bring his family up there. I know we don't want to go in detail, but that's his personal life.
Absolutely.
But then that also shows that if you do not have asylum, you're not able to do all of that in Germany. So he already had asylum, of course, and he was able to live there. I mean, it was actually flagged by human rights organizations in Germany that this is a person following the interview, of course,
So
following the TRC.
After when was he flagged? After he began revealing what he
He
might
had
have.
revealed this a long time ago.
Long time before.
That this interview was a long time ago from Panderis, right?
see.
But after that, it was, I don't want to lie, the years were revealed, of course, during the trial, but I'll have to check that again. When the German authorities really started looking into Bailo, tapping his phone and computers, because they know there is information about this guy. The TRC also started, I think it triggered a lot because so many people were talking about Gambia and the things that happened in Gambia. He had the interview here and there, and I must say that there is a lady, Marion Folkman, who was in Gambia working here. She was also a very instrumental person in the trial against Bailo, because she is half German and half French, and she was working in the Gambia. So with the human rights,
She's a human rights activist.
exactly. So she's also a lawyer. So you have that. She's able to look at these cases and also work closely with the German authorities to bring about everything that's needed so that the trial can go on and help the German police. So that is how he was caught. I mean, it's one thing on the other, and the main evidences against him included, like you said, the interview that he gave himself, where many details were taken, and people who he had interviews with were actually invited to talk about those radio interviews. It was apparently not one, but that was the first one with Freedom Radio. There was another one with Fatu Network, I guess, and then there were subsequent ones that happened, and then all of them were packed, and then he had to answer to everything he said in those, coupled with the findings that they had done in his phone and everything they have been doing following him in Germany.
You, before we come on air, I heard you said you seem to have a feeling that it is the Deda Hydra case that really caught the attention of the media, or naturally, of course. But you said there are two other cases that bylaw has been implicated that not much has been said about. What are those?
That is right. I mean, it is obvious that journalists would make the case of journalists known and heard, and that is fair enough because journalists were really persecuted in Gambia, and Deda's case was one of the main cases of, or maybe as you said, the starting of the persecution against journalists in Gambia. Journalists were scared. Journalists were, everything was done to suppress them, but they still thrived on to do their job. I mean, many people had been victimized, I'm sorry to say, including yourself and many other journalists. So you can see that everyone is emotional as journalists. This is a breakthrough to show that our fellow journalists has been granted justice, and that's fair enough. But I just wanted also for people to know that Bailo has been prosecuted and tried and convicted on 3 main, like Flex said, there are many others, but then he has been pinned on these 3, which is the attempted murder of lawyer Usman Silla, who was shot in his house, but he, fortunately survived, and whose family is here. And then you have Dauda Nyasi, who many people did not know because his family was not really involved in the transitional justice system or even in the victim system, but fortunately with the activism and everything.
Well, his case was actually mentioned and documented.
That's right, even at the TRC, so that is how he is also included. Unfortunately, his children, 3 of them, Omar, Ibrahim and Modu, are now involved in the whole thing, and I know they're sitting out there also grateful that this trial has gone on.
Good. Let's turn to the president of the GP. Your body sent out a press release welcoming this verdict. You also, of course, raised issues such as you think it will motivate government to go after other perpetrators and, in fact, to give justice to other journalists who might still waiting for justice. But Deda Hydra, well-known editor-in-chief, very doyen of Gambian journalism, does this in any way feel like a closure as far as the persecution of journalism was concerned on the Jammeh, or you think this is just the first cornerstone for what you think should be a lot more redress of the plight of journalists or journalists and journalism on the Jammeh?
Thank you very much. Once again, it's a pleasure having me, sharing the platform with my brother, sister, and yourself. Yes, this is, as we stated on the statement, that this is just a stepping stone. And then government should definitely look into, expediting, using this as a catalyst to expedite the transitional justice process. We know they are trying to do 1 or 2 things. They've also appointed, a person to come and then probably be part of the advisors. But I think the things are going on a snail pace. So looking at people, other people outside, trying to fish out these people who have been committing crimes against humanity, abusing human rights. So I think this is a stepping stone, and this is a landmark, judgment, and it has shown that there is seriousness in terms of human rights violations around the international jurisprudence. But I believe Gambia should do better, and then ensure that they take it up from here, now and then, because we don't want to be hearing other cases succeeding in other countries outside the Gambia, and government is not doing anything. I think that will be like, okay, now the work that you're doing is done by others outside.
Maybe it's because of capacity. And,
I agree.
And
means. Yeah, but commitment also counts, even if you don't have the capacity. But there are people who are willing to support. For example, internally what you do is to ensure that you have the legal infrastructure, because there's a gap in terms of the legal infrastructure in ensuring that some of these crimes are brought to book. But government has the powers to do that. ensure that bring experts to discourse around it. Look at other models, other countries that have succeeded, other countries that have failed.
It's not what they said they're doing. They established special prosecution, legislation in parliament to establish those. That's what they claim.
Yeah, they have been doing that. Okay, since when did they probably put out the government's position paper? That is 2 years ago, right? Nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
So since then, what are they doing? I think.
Well, they've been to ECOWAS, to get them to establish a hybrid court. They have all sort of, constraints. You can't expect them to be as fast or let's say as efficient as Germany.
No, it will not. We cannot compare.
Yeah.
But for me, I believe, as I said, this should be a stepping stone for government to fast track, bringing all the institutions, the legal instruments, and also bring the required capacity to start this process. Because for me, after by law, there is, we know Usman Sonko is on the line, down the line, and
Korea,
exactly, Korea, exactly. So looking at these things, for me, I believe there should be, a fast tracking stuff to ensure that these things are happening. I know the capacity.
Let's hear what the government said about these bylaws. They said the Attorney General's Chambers and Ministry of Justice of the Republic of the Gambia welcomes the decision rendered by the German court sentencing Mr. Lowe, a former member of the military, to life imprisonment. The ministry wishes to express profound gratitude to the German government for its unwavering support as well as ongoing cooperation between the Gambia between the Gambia and the transitional justice system. The pronouncement of the German court marks a significant legal milestone, illustrating unequivocally that irrespective of the locations where such people might be or crimes are perpetrated, regardless of the concealment efforts of the perpetrators, global accountability mechanisms will ultimately apprehend them. But contrary to reports circulating online, the Minister of Justice wishes to reiterate that it has on numerous occasions provided mutual legal assistance to the higher regional court in Germany for the identification of key witnesses to participate and testify before the competent German court and the facilitation of interrogation of witnesses for the case. So the Attorney General Chambers and Minister of Justice remain steadfast in its commitment to collaborating on mutual legal assistance. So it looks like the ministry might have been aware of criticisms against the government. So they have come in to say that contrary to what has been suggested, they have actually been cooperating and providing and facilitating things that in their own way.
That's what they are saying in their statement. I did try to there was an engagement which was organized earlier this week where the Ministry of Justice was present, the minister himself, and but some of his staff was also present, and by that time he had gone, and I posed a certain question like this, as in how much have they done? They said that they have been facilitating witnesses and they have been facilitating evidence, written and all of those, to the government German courts. So, and there is this mutual legal assistance, which was a bill actually that had been passed to facilitate the Gambia government supporting other cases happening across in other countries. Yeah, so I think definitely if at all they have, that would be very useful to know. But I'm sure they might not want to tell us how many witnesses, how many, what exactly they have done. But that's up to them. Perhaps they can substantiate their claims of, facilitating with giving us more context with how much effort they have done. But I'm sure maybe Fatima, who has been following the process very closely, she might be even able to give us some insight as to...
Do you get the full statement? I understand the judge himself was, in one of his commentaries during the judgment, was critical, saying that, unfortunately, the Gambia, actually family members quoted the judge saying that, unfortunately, the Gambia government doesn't seem to be very steadfast in this kind of processes. You do get a full judgment.
So let me see. I think that it was the quote was actually sent, and I remember being like, wow. So when it comes to the Bilo case, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how much help has been rendered to the German court. But if the German court,
But is it true that the judge delivering it actually mentioned?
it was quoted. It was sent
it was
to me.
quoted
Wasn't in Germany at that time. I was here, so it was quoted, and someone who also is part of the group that was monitoring also talked about it, and who was in court actually.
Right.
So I because I'm not there, I'm trying to make sure that I make it clear I was not in there, because I am really keen about stuff like that, where you really there and heard it
that's
yourself,
right.
or did you hear it from someone else? But that yes, and then I have no reason to doubt that.
Yeah.
So it is either they didn't receive completely what they were expecting from the Gambia government, or the help that they were asking for was not completely rendered to them, because the German court wouldn't lie about that. I'm not saying the Gambia government is lying about that, but then their help. Because I would make clear that in the Usman Sonko case, that I'm a joint plaintiff, and I always get that inside information. They have been helping with witness coordination and everything. The reason why they cannot come out with those things is witness protection. But we had complained also to the Ministry of Justice that communicate to the civil society organizations. We know what to tell the people and what not to tell the public. But if you don't communicate to us, even though we work with those witnesses, mostly you contact us, we contact the victims to you. So there's no secrecy that should really exist between us. But if you keep it all to yourself, and we do not know, we cannot defend you. And I'm sorry, I can't say Gambia really provided Germany all the evidences they need, because I was not put in the picture. No organization that works closely with the Gambia government has an idea how much they help them. So if Germany is claiming this and they're saying that, and it was in the statement of the judge himself, who do we believe? And this is the reason why keep the allies that you work with closely, get them the information they need to know. We're not going to leak that outside, of course. We're not. We know the victims need to be protected, but if we do not know, we just listen to what the judge said.
Yeah, for me, I think there is a gap in terms of communication. Even myself, I got more information from outside. For example, maybe Sandeng will be sending me information. I think Rodi, the other guy, what is the name?
Reed.
Yeah, he will be sending me, Baba Haidara will be sending me in emails with regards to the case. But hardly I see any communication from the ministry as to the stages. I think that is where they're missing the point. Government should be communicating. So because the other time when they were even launching the position paper, I requested from the minister that you have to involve the media in all the processes so that things like this will not happen. We are hearing that these people are saying this, the judge is saying this, and the Gambia government is saying, oh no, there is a misinformation with regards to that. Communicate so that people can use it as a reference that, oh, they have tried. But even if you're doing a lot of things, but if you are not communicating, then you miss the point.
And quite important, you mentioned in there is, you see, is it not the case that people have always, seem to observe that instead of taking the leading role, the government has questions to answer as to their, political will and readiness, to take this matter seriously. In the past, of course, people said maybe the government has consideration for elections in 2021 or so. But now that there is no election, don't you think now is the time the government should take the lead and bring in all the necessary indication that yes, we are going to go ahead to implement the TRRC recommendations? So is it a reflection, what we've seen in the court and the criticisms that's coming about the government's non-steadfastness in this matter, is it not a reflection of the suspicion the government doesn't have the political willpower, the political will actually to tackle these issues?
I think definitely it highlights that more should be done from the Gambia government, and that other outside the outside world is even making more progress. I must be fair that the government has dealt with Yankuba Toure. That was actually the first case, and that was because he refused to come to work with the
TRRC
commission. You know, he was ridiculing the whole process. And the Gambian people were ready to take matters into their own hands. If the government hadn't done something, God knows what would have happened in this country.
Definitely.
But I have a quote here, which was shared to me by Reed Brody.
Yeah, Brody.
We have been journalists, we are engaging numerous stakeholders. And this is what he said: the long arm of the law has caught up to Bailu in Germany, just as it's catching up to Yahya Jammeh's henchmen in Switzerland and the United States. These men can run, but they can't hide. But Bailu was only a little man, a man at the very bottom of the chain of responsibility. It wasn't Bailu who planned these killings. We know that it was Yahya Jammeh himself who was behind these crimes, and the others who ravaged Gambia for 22 years. This trial should send a message to the Gambian government that after the powerful TRRC report, it's time for the criminal justice process at home to begin. That it's time to build the case against Yahya Jammeh. Victims shouldn't have to go abroad to seek redress for what happened to them in Gambia. Gambian democracy will be enhanced when these trials are held before Gambian courts. So I think this speaks to the, balances out what is happening across the world, and the position that the Gambia is in, and that we shouldn't put it into a situation where victims have no choice here.
Exactly.
But to go and see
but
what to do
the government has always been explaining that, quite apart from constraints, I mean, there are considerations whether these things can be tried here in the Gambia in terms of security concerns or in terms of materials, personnel. They have been saying that these are constraints. I mean, some of these crimes, they don't have instruments to try them here. So all they can do is to reach out, to ask overseas help, and it will take time. They've been to ECOWAS for the hybrid court, for example. They've been to everywhere. They've been to United Nations and other places to think. So it may well be the case that because of capacity problems, that is what perhaps is delaying or seeming to be slowing the action of the government. But then, of course, the suspicion we must say is that they lack the political will. I mean, some critics of the government.
I would just like to, say something with that, in that regard. I mean, no doubt the government is doing some work with regards to the transitional justice process, the TRC report. We cannot, give the devil its due. You cannot just sit here and say, oh, they're not doing anything.
Yes.
That would be very unfair. The government is, of course, doing something. Are they doing enough?
But
are they doing it fast enough? Victims are dying. Victims are discouraged. Victims have no hope in justice anymore, especially prosecution. It is very significant for us to look at the fact that the system of the Gambia in itself is not used to prosecution.
It's not set up for it.
But we need it. You cannot just say, oh, them doing TRC, we've spoken about it and everything is done. No, that is not the end of it. There are some people who do not need reparations such as cash or something. Someone to see people who kill their fathers, their brothers, their kids in court, see them there, that's only enough. And to think that, Dad, I have gone the extra mile for you to get justice. So the thing is, victims feel neglected and forgotten. That has been in the beginning, from the beginning, not only now. And also something is very significant. You see, you cannot have one government and one working with the victims or trying to bring out government papers, white papers, accept recommendation. You have another side of the government saying things that would make victims think that he doesn't even care. I mean, I know we're not doing this political, but we are talking about the whole transitional justice system. The executive, the president, cannot stand and say things that really just crumble down everything in victims, and you have the Ministry of Justice trying to do whatever they do. I know they would say, oh, that is politics, we are not political, but whatever you do here and he does there, it just clashes. And then that comes down to the victims. How do you expect us to feel? How do you expect Gambians to feel? You think we will be assured that, oh, there is will? Gambians will feel there is no will, and that is the reality that victims are living. You cannot convince any victim now with revelation, utterances and everything, and the fact that things are not even so transparent or fast enough that there is anything that will be done for victims. That is why we are endeavoring to bring it to them, to show them that a judgment has happened in Germany and more is coming. There is hope for you victims, but to be honest with you, When you sit with victims, you cry. We are victims, we're also activists.
You're not happy about the progress being done by the government.
They've not been made happy. It's not only about, one could look at you and say you're not contented. Why aren't you always happy? But they are not made happy and content. That is the thing.
Or assured.
And
That
even,
is it.
I might go as far as to say this government has been sending mixed messages to the victims. Why do I say so? In the run-up to the 2021 election, President Adama Barrow's NPP was trying to get in cahoot with the former government of Jammeh.
I got them already.
They got them already. They got some of them. Or they divided that party just because of a political will. It's not there. And the political will is there to entrench themselves and to expand their political base. Before you know it, we hear that the president is visiting family members of Jammeh. And we heard of recently, and also they had two trips.
Yeah,
He went to visit them, and then they came to visit him.
Yeah.
And in their recent conversation, the president is saying, "I don't have anything against Jammeh." Blah blah blah.
Personally.
Some of those things does not send the right message at all. Yeah. Then there is what
at least the Attorney General said in the assembly that the TRRC recommended for us to prosecute Jammeh, and this government has accepted to prosecute him.
So this is exactly what she is referring to.
Yeah.
The MOJ is doing their thing. And then the president is also doing his own thing. And then the worst thing now, which is where we are, I believe, there is what you call the Special Prosecutor's Office bill. Yeah? And until now, that bill has not been passed. The special prosecutor is the guy who is supposed to take the lead to prosecute all these people. Yeah? There is no bill yet. The bill, if you look at what they call the implementation plan, that should have happened in the third quarter. They should have passed that bill in the third quarter. They have not passed it. And also there's a special accountability mechanisms bill, which those two are supposed to come together so that they can fast track the appointment of the special prosecutor, and then they can now move forward to see the hybrid structure or architecture. Until now, there is still no legal framework. There are many things which are missing. And when you look at the government's implementation plan, this is not what I have given deadlines to the government. They gave themselves these same deadlines, and they put their own budgetary amounts that they should put there. And they are well behind. So until they pass the Special Prosecutor's Office bill, they cannot appoint one. The Minister of Justice, when I pressed him this week, I pressed the minister in an engagement just this week, to force him, and then he said that by they anticipate in January they will have an extraordinary session to pass those bills. That's what he is promising. And then by mid-2024, they should appoint a special prosecutor. These are the promises, and we'll continue to press the Minister of Justice to bring concrete and tell us what they are going to do.
There was a conversation around it, I think last week, looking at the legalities, whether there is a constitutional provision that allows the establishment of special prosecution unit, whether it will not be overshadowing the office of the DPP and stuff. There was a conversation, and this conversation was driven by the president, the Gambia Bar Association. So I think these are initiatives that government should take seriously to look into the critical matters. And also, the minister would have been there. For me, I would have expected that the minister himself would have been there, because these people now are giving you ideas, even free expertise. People like SO4, people like the senior counsel Bensouda, they were there. Like senior legal experts, giving looking at the constitution and what is possible, what may not be possible, looking at issues holistically. So I think government would have, for me, the minister himself would have been there. This was an opportunity for him to look at it, because he is his ministry who should definitely take a lead.
It makes me remember, somebody made an analogy yesterday. He said, okay, here is Bailo, who admitted being a driver. Now, like you said, his actions have been very important. But the people who even admitted pulling the trigger,
Exactly.
the people who admitted publicly pulling the trigger
Going
are in the Gambia.
and
They are walking in the streets free. I mean, what he told me is that, okay, listen, it does seem that these alleged perpetrators, in fact, are more comfortable in the Gambia than outside, when it should have been the other way around. Somebody should be afraid of staying home where he committed the crime. But in this case, in fact, those who ran away are more in trouble than those who are home.
It's a safe haven.
So now, where they committed the crime has become a safe haven.
Yes.
What arrangements? I mean, I know that the government, the Attorney General, has said that these people will eventually face justice. The arrangement with the TRRC was, if you come forward, come clean, you might be lucky to have an amnesty. We've seen the amnesty process, but then they said those crimes that are really considered to be serious, you can have amnesty under them. So they are here. But what is the next step now? Is it the special prosecutor that's going to take care of them?
Yes, so this is the problem which many of us have been highlighting. Being too slow to act allows this space for some of these people to escape. Because let me tell you, there are safe havens in this world. There are places like Equatorial Guinea which have not signed up to none of these treaties. So they can go there. And if some of these people are very clued up, I don't want to be giving them free advice.
You should not.
I think the question may be they now fear that it's in fact more dangerous to go outside than here.
So,
otherwise they would have taken to their heels long time.
So but there are levels to it. Well, there are other places which is free for all. They have not even signed up. They are even much more of a safe haven than even Gambia. You see, and so I think the special prosecutor and all of these people should be set up so that they can move into action.
And the problem is that they had taken, for example, junglers, kept them in prison before the system started. People, there was an outcry. You are keeping people. You are not putting them on trial. You are detaining them illegally. So they had to release. So maybe the Justice Ministry don't want to go and arrest these people and say them waiting for prosecution. They stay endlessly without trial. The government will be criticized for violating human rights again.
But there are evidences already there.
Yeah, but the court system is not there yet.
So that is what we are talking about. You work on your court system. You know, we understand that Gambia is not up to Germany. Gambia is not up to other places, right? Even Senegal, they're more organized and their systems are more established than ours. But Senegal is not that far. And Hissène Habré was tried in Senegal.
Yeah.
Abdoulaye Wade didn't have the will until Macky Sall came, who had made promises, and he was held pinned down on those promises. Hissène Habré was tried. Who said these things cannot be possible in Gambia? We cannot absorb the possibility. No, we can accept that we are not 100% equipped. That is true, but you cannot give government excuses so that they continue saying, "Oh, we are not, we are not there yet," and stop. No, you don't use that, because if you use that, they get relaxed, and the relaxation is already there. So we cannot just sit and say, "Oh, yeah, that's why we are not so developed." But then that is why we cannot, because their evidence. These people have already said everything they needed to say. Germany used a lot of revelations of the TRRC. Exactly. In the Sonko case, they're using all of they have the whole TRRC file because mostly all the information they need is in there. The Gambia government has the first access to that. So you can't tell me they don't know what they have to arrest these people on. I'm not a professional lawyer, but you have all of those people. The Ministry of Justice is packed with people who can look into these things. So look at something that needs to be done, because we are speaking to a victim, even though this is not right. And I had to tell him, you know what, calm down. Let's not take the law in our hands. Said, someone confessed to killing my father, and he's walking the streets. You think if I see him, I will not attack him? It's risky. Victims are hurting. Gambians, or let's say the Gambian system does not recognize trauma and things that trauma can make someone do or can do to people. People die because of trauma. They are distressed, they are angry, they are sad, they are sick. And all due to their victimization. Not only that they have survived it to this point, but you know the kind of disappointment you have. If your hopes are high up there and all of a sudden they crumble, that is the worst. Because during the Jammeh era, they knew we couldn't do much. But after the era, when government changed, they risked their lives and hopes were there. TRRC came, hopes were there. And now you see that hope crumbling every single day gradually. That is the worst kind of trauma one can go through. And if you sit with victims, you would know what that means. So it is not an excuse to say we do not have the system. Yes, we do not. But you work on a system for it to be there. It cannot come by itself.
Yeah. So it looks like the victims are divided in a way it is more of a reason of lack of capacity for the Gambia or lack of, political will.
I think it's more of political
For
will.
me, it is more of political will. I believe all the systems. Look, government is taking the case. Gambia is taking these guys. Is it the Myanmar case? Myanmar case, and there is a whole lot of commitment towards that.
Yes.
So how about?
So ironically,
exactly.
What
so
about
how
your
about
own backside,
guys? For me, I believe, it's happening, and Gambia is all over. Other people are hailing the Gambia, saying that these big countries were not, committed to do this, and Gambia is doing that, a small country. How about your own people? So for me, I believe it boils down to political will. Look at the urgency on the former president's bill.
Exactly.
Come on. But things are happening.
Certificate of urgency.
Yes, certificate of urgency. And other bills that came and then they passed.
They passed it.
So for me, I think...
You mean same could be done with the TRRC implementation bills, any legislation connected with that.
You'll be amazed to know that the victim reparation bill was a chaos in court.
So
Parliamentarians were arguing.
Yes.
Does it even need a certificate of urgency? Do you know how disappointing that is to victims?
That was quite disappointing.
You want a former president's bill and the victims are dying.
One suggested that it might
crazy.
open a floodgate of another corruption. I don't know what they mean by that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes,
even though I feel that the reparations bill is urgent and emergency, in my view, the best thing to do with bills is not to push them through a certificate of urgency. The reason being, you cannot invite victims, you cannot invite experts to also bring presentation on the bill. For example, they removed the Gambia Bar Association and they replaced them with GALGA.
GALGA, that is
Gambia Authority for Local
Government.
Yes.
What do they have to do?
What do they have to do with reparation? And that is what is in the bill.
They don't
currently. So they are one of those people who are part of the people selection panel or something like that. That are supposed to end up selecting the commission. Yes. So not that they will be one of those who are in the commission, but they will have a selection
in the selection committee.
No, but Flex, I may object to that.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
because it will get to certificate of urgency when everything before that day is done right. Because before it gets to that parliament, until they talk about the certificate of urgency, it goes to, you have time and make sure that CSO's victims have ample time
at the executive level before it reaches.
And even the victims, so that they can have consultation. So the certificate of urgency is a place where victims have already done what they want to do.
Right.
They have spoken about, they have checked it. Now it is time for you to pass it. So they have that there. What lacked was the ample time. There was a very, very short time, and we complained that before one of the, the staff of the Ministry of Justice, that you did not even give us ample time. You gave us 2-3 days to review something. How can we even look at this? And you bunch the former president's bill with the reparations bill together, and you want us to talk about one.
So
what do you think we will be concerned about?
So this is my.
It was like let's deflect attention.
Yes,
that's how I saw
from
it.
this one and give them this one.
So
the carrot and the sticks.
So there were two things which were, in my view, it's urgent, but I feel like they should have this bill. It should have come even way earlier.
Absolutely.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And that way, it wouldn't have had to go through like rushing it in a certificate of urgency. And if they had done that, because of you leave it until the end, and then you want to rush it, and then my biggest disappointment is that I, as a journalist, I'm following this. They said that the reason why they're having that extraordinary session was to progress the implementation of the TRRC. So then why are you bringing the former president's bill, mixing it in there, and then bringing another commission of inquiry amendment bill? So
as well as
and that commission of inquiry or amendment bill, what it does, it rubber stamps the paper, the president's white paper. You do a commission, and then after the commission, you write a white paper.
And the president can give amnesty.
See, all of those. So for me, what happened is they used the certificate of urgency and the on the TRRC implementation
as a scapegoat
to bring across what they wanted to bring. You see,
to deflect attention.
To deflect attention. So
I agree.
My whole worry is because of, look, I have been in Parliament following, and all those, there are so many bills that came. Are they more urgent than the reparations bill? So, and I think it's important for the bills to go through the right procedure. Had they gone through the right procedure, I'm sure Galga wouldn't have been replacing Gambia Bar Association.
But who
recommends? Just imagine that. What business does Galga have in that?
You know, for me.
And that's the body that's going to supervise the selection of the commissioners. For the reparation commission.
Yeah, they missed the point.
What reason?
And with this,
and those people are politicians, obviously, in Galga.
Local government.
The guys that are there. All of them are the guys. So I think you need professionals.
Absolutely.
You know, lawyers who will come, and then victims themselves who are experts in several places.
How soon will that commission come into place? That's the other issue. Because they are the ones that, taking care of reparations, etc.
Indeed.
How soon will that come? Now, Mr. President, you mentioned in your statement that you hope that the cases of other journalists waiting for justice would also be fastened up, like we said. But generally, we say we said here that the progress of the government towards this transitional justice is slow.
Very.
What do you mean when you say the cases of other unresolved cases? Like
there are a lot of.
Talk about Chief Ibrahim.
Chief Mane. Disappearance. Musa Sedikan.
Torture.
Torture. And other journalists, even probably yourself, obviously, Uncle Papsen, and still those people are struggling. Madi Sise, those people are struggling with their health. Could you imagine? And those are things that are already there. And some journalists are still traumatized. People,
absolutely.
I don't even want to mention some of the names. They are traumatized.
No, we had a retreat, and one of the journalists said, even right now, said, I am scared. Because do we have protection? I don't see that she didn't want to do anything about our advocacy. I mean, we're not even in that climate. We don't wish to get that. But you can hear that. I am practicing this, and then the president has been that. In the long run, journalists are persecuted. And I was like, do not be scared. If we're all scared, who does the work?
But the laws are still there. The system, the system is still there.
That's right.
Intact. It's just a matter of government using it. But the system is there. So that is why.
I was coming there because when we said we want certain remnants of bad laws in the Constitution, the government assured us that no, this government has no intention to use any of those things. But we wanted them out.
Thank you.
Now we are seeing sedition coming.
They used it, and in fact they did say that.
As long as these laws remain in the book, the tendency is that the government will feel one day very uncomfortable.
GPU challenge
and then will go and use them.
Yes, we
challenge. We were assured that they were not going to be used. The government has no intention to stifle dissent or
remove it.
Now we have seen a sedition case coming.
It is happening. In 2018, this case was challenged before the ECOWAS court, and the ECOWAS said it is unlawful. It's not. This law is undemocratic. So let the government repeal the law.
Yes.
And then the judgment is already there. Nothing has happened. So there are a lot of laws. For example, the information. No, it was not repealed.
Not the sedition.
The sedition against the government, like the president.
Against the president, yes.
The other one was announced as unconstitutional, like the government against government officials.
Against government officials.
That one, but the other one, So you can. It will be as easy as you just say, President Barrow,
like what is happening to Madi Jobate right now.
An ugly guy.
Yeah.
Then they can say
interpret that.
Yeah, they can interpret it to be like, sedition. and they can arrest you for that.
Yeah, because, and when you get to a point where citizens cannot name the president or criticize.
Yeah,
the
you
president.
cannot even name the president.
That's where you have a problem.
You cannot even say President Barrow. Yeah. Is this?
Is Yankuba of the BAC being? What is he being charged with? Because I know Madi Jobate apparently. It's sedition that the police are putting on him.
False information.
What about the Brikama Area Council
chairman.
Is it not sedition as well?
I think it's part of one of the counts.
It's not contempt and other
Contempt
things.
of court as well as
Contempt is there, but I could not recall. But also, not only that, there is a serious law under the ICT Act, which states that state apparatus can just meet you flex down and then get your phone and say, please, we need to know what is the content of your phone without a judicial oversight. That is serious. It's abusive.
Yep.
So those systems, we all agree they are very bad. So why do you keep those laws there still? Though we are still engaging the information ministry, Minister of Information, to see how best we can work together.
Contempt of court and sedition.
Exactly.
I followed that case.
It's part of it.
I know the contempt of court is for the court because of what is apparently some statement that is alleged to have said. And then the part on sedition is against about the president. So they're trying to hold him on two issues that they should have not even been, perhaps contempt of court, we can put that one aside. But sedition on the president, he shouldn't, that shouldn't have even been a charge.
These are laws that are not even justifiable in a democratic society. So still we are having these laws. So you cannot imagine. I think the system, for me, it is the political will. The transitional justice is very broad. We need the legal reforms. We need prosecution. We need institutional reforms.
Security sector reforms.
Exactly.
I think most of it
should be approached holistically. Some of these things is not capacity there. It's just a matter of bringing a bill and then repealing it. Simple as that.
I mean, where do you go with that? It's just paper. Do your work in the office and come. For example, security sector reforms. I believe the stem of most of these problems starts from the security sector and how they do it. The police were used during the Jammeh era to arrest people, to torture, to do everything that they wanted, to suppress protesters and everything. That's what's been done still. So what we need most is the security sector reforms. I'll tell you something. Solo Sandeng Foundation, I saw that in your introduction. Is it? I was not introduced as Solo Sandeng Foundation. Just to tell everyone, I do a lot of things. I know, I understand. So
I'm a victim. I try to take myself.
Your father's legacy will never go away.
No, not that.
The foundation
She's keeping it alive.
No, but it's not PR. That's it. I want to say that the foundation does most of this work when it comes to the transitional justice process, security sector reforms. Because rarely, I think we are doing with state organizations. PRPD are the only ones really talking even about security sector reforms. But I see that is the core of a lot of these things. If the security sector is reformed, what the police does, what the security does, the soldiers, everyone knows what you need to do and what you need not to do, and what is the conduct of police in their police stations, everything. I think things will get better. But let me tell you, even that, you hold dialogues and invite the security advisor's office, not the one who is currently there, but before the one who headed the office. Yesterday I met the current one. I said, I met the current one yesterday. I said, we've been sending letters. So I was not there. I said, yes, but I wanted to tell you that so you take note that if letters come, you need to come to our dialogues. Because if you lead the security advisor's office and you do not even come to these sessions where we talk about security sector reforms, how you need them, at some point you follow them, you send them letters, you call them to come dialogue with victims, with other stakeholders. They don't answer, they don't call you back, they don't even receive you, they don't come to the dialogues. Do you think those people are ready for reforms in the security sector? This is what we need to look at. That doesn't cost them anything. You don't come and tell me that's because of capacity. It's not. I mean, the offices are running every single day. AC is being used, papers are being used, everything.
Well,
just work on this and take it to the parliament, and something is done about it. The Public Order Act. That is what enables Solo Sandeng and the others to be arrested and then handed over anyhow and be tortured to death. To work on that. If you say that you're not a government that is willing to use those laws, why are the laws there? And I believe the question why we should stop asking the question why, because we know why. We really know why.
Let's hope that one member brought in a private bill.
Yeah, that's right. That's coming up.
So that the public order, at least the police would be supervised protest and not to be the one who will give the order to do it or not, because that's where the problem happens.
In fact, this is also a recommendation in the TRRC. So this is what she is also highlighting. It touches on security sector reform. So it is recommended in the TRRC that the government should review our Public Order Act to bring it in line with international best practice. This is what is also there. There's something which I also want to highlight, which is very, very urgent. And I know it might even be touching personal to her. There are bodies which have been exhumed during the TRRC, and they are still in dead house.
Okay.
Wow.
Like the soldiers at the Union Barracks.
November 11
soldiers.
So, and those are the ones which have been exhumed and kept there at dead house. There are other bodies which are still in the ground. God knows where they are. They have not located some of them.
Yeah.
These bodies are still decomposing.
Well, I think in the case of the soldiers, they are maybe just skeletons.
You see, so what is the issue now? Government should not spare any resources with regards to engaging forensic experts of digging out these bodies. The bodies which are there, let them conduct the forensic work that is needed and return these bodies to their family members for the proper burial.
I agree.
You understand?
It's a lot of relief.
This is very inhumane. It is not in line with our culture and our tradition as Gambians. For these bodies to be held there at dead house. Up until now, people from the victims, and I want to call my fellow journalists that these are stories that we should be writing about. We should go and visit dead house, go and visit victim center, go and visit family members of those bereaved. Let us hear what they think. And then also visit the government and ask them what is going on. When are you going to bring forensic experts? We don't have forensic experts. Since when my party said that they are going to spend how many million dollars or euros or whatever on preparing a state-of-the-art forensic science lab so that they can do this thing. Those things have never been done. So since they have failed to do them, let them find the experts who can come and at least with the bodies that are here, that are in that house, conduct the forensic work that is needed. That is the same forensic work that will also be used when you go to court. So there are a lot of things which need to be done. Legal legislation work, TRRC recommendations to implement, security sector reforms needs to be implemented. And all these things, the more government is not doing anything, we'll continue reminding them.
And talking about security reform, she mentioned that the behaviors that were actually considered to be abhorrent during Jammeh's time, we see occasional flashes of similar things, behaviors and the conduct of the security force. For example, the High Court agreed with Bora Sisao that he was maltreated by the police.
Has he received his $500,000?
No, I'm not sure of that, but at least as long as the court itself agreed, it shows that there are flashes of this kind of conduct.
Yeah, for me, I think unfortunately it is coming from our coffers. For me,
you mean the money,
yes. For me, I think the institutions that are responsible should pay.
You mean it should have come from the police budget?
The police budget, or not even the police budget, but the one who is heading. Some of these things, you do a mistake, or not a mistake even. You conduct
misconduct
in such a way that it is against the law, and at the same time you are found wanting, and then at the same time the state will take monies and give it to people, victims. For me, I think we have to look into that, because if not, people will know that even if I make blunders, it will come from the state. So people should definitely.
So you mean if they take it from the police? In the case of Bora, for example, if it comes from the police budget, the police will be mindful that this is gonna really.
They are not following the law.
But that is what I wanted actually to say.
Thank you.
Our problem is accountability.
Exactly.
Accountability ensures for non-recurrence of crimes. And one problem we have is that our institutions, and I'm sorry to say, but I'm not sorry to say. Let me just correct that. Yes, that even the police, what they do is, you're my boss. I am looking forward to you covering my wrongs instead of you correcting me.
Absolutely.
You understand? So when and how do I stop beating up someone or hitting someone with my baton, or because I have a uniform, stop someone on the road just because I feel like stopping them because I don't like their faces? That is the problem that we are talking about now. Because if there is no accountability, what we should do is to distinguish professional work and friendship, or thinking that I should cover for my junior because I'm their boss. If I don't do that, who would do that? That is not It is not best
I
practice.
think, isn't it a case? I think the new constitution would have taken care.
No, even the current constitution.
Because
This
the
is
new
where I'm coming
constitution
from.
have spelled out
Yeah.
how, in fact, the police chief should be appointed.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
how their
Independent
how
of
their
institutions.
independence should
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
But
And tenure of
and
office.
tenure of
Yeah,
office,
you
all have
cannot
been
just
spelled out. So,
dismiss like
yeah. that new constitution wants to give the Inspector General of Police, for example, some degree of independence.
Yes.
Cannot be under the influence of a politician like president.
Yes.
But as it is now,
Lamin,
they probably be tempted to walk on the wishes and caprices of the president.
It's not being tempted. That is what he's done.
That might be political.
no.
So that's where the problem is.
I think the problem is they are not following even the 1997 constitution, let
really?
alone the new constitution.
Okay.
Section 19 of our 1997 constitution, this is what it is saying. It says, section 19, subsection 6. Yeah? Which section 19 is on, and I know she knows this section very well. Yeah? It's about protection, right to personal liberty.
Okay.
This is what it says in that the last one in section 19. Any person who is unlawfully arrested or detained by any other person shall be entitled to compensation from that other person, or from any other person or authority on whose behalf that other person was acting.
So
this is very clear.
So you see now.
So I see.
This
Then
is
the police should pay.
This is very clear.
Then the
the
police
laws
should
of
pay.
the Gambia must be followed, and the Gambia is the government who has to follow the own laws.
Yeah.
It's saying that the person who did the unlawful act should be the one who must compensate the person who they held unlawfully. And it's not only just a person, any authority.
Yeah.
So if at all it is coming from the president,
So it should come from the president's
if
budget.
at all, because we all know that it was few days after what the president announced and said that any individual who has been given permitted bail by a judge will be arrested. The president said that.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
although they came out to say that he actually didn't mean that.
Well, that's what he said. He's saying but we are seeing the effect of what he has said. Few days later, they arrested this gentleman. You see, so the law is very clear. Either the police should be the one to pay, or the president should be the one to pay.
Yeah.
This is what the law of
for
our
me,
land is
I
saying.
think it should not come from the coffers, the state coffers.
Well,
because these are
it should come from the police budget.
Exactly.
And if it is the army, it comes from the army budget. Exactly. If it is NIA, it comes from the NIA
Then
budget.
you will know that at least 500,000 is coming from your budget.
Then you know how to
That's why I said we have no accountability measures. If we have that in place, people will be careful. Because
I have always said, when it comes to security reform, I've always said the best answer was in the new constitution.
Yes.
Where it established independence for the police, because the police are actually most of the time, on the Jammeh it was soldiers, we know. Yeah. But now that
internal security
matters. That's where problems like this come. I mean, there it is envisioned in the constitution that the police inspector general should have some degree of independence.
Yes.
They should not be under the influence of politicians who once order them go get my opponents, charge my opponents this, charge my opponents this. Then at the end of it, the police independence zero. They just be like a tool in the hands of the politicians who will always go at each other. So
sometimes firing a public official is just easy as a phone call.
A phone call.
We know that. Sometimes they will just call you and
information from
prior to the letter. They will just call you and say you are fired.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the new constitution, we should start a discussion around this.
I mean,
we have a constitution which is very progressive. Probably we have less than 10 clauses that are maybe some what not controversial, quote unquote. Now we have over 300 and something clauses that are there and very progressive. All of us agree.
Absolutely.
So how can we make sure that this new constitution comes into play? Even the recalling of the National Assembly members, it is clearly stipulated because National Assembly also they have to be held accountable. Now, who is going to dismiss National Assembly? It's only 5 years.
Yeah.
Elections, after which they can be dismissed. But now, if a National Assembly member is not doing his or her work according to the needs and aspirations of the public, no one can recall them.
Actually, there is a feeling. There is a feeling from many people that their members do not even come down to them to talk to them.
Once they are there,
Yeah.
they are the most secure people, even the president.
Even their political parties can no longer
Yes,
do anything
so they are
about
the
it.
most secured individuals.
Yeah.
And they can do whatever they
They
feel like to do.
As
And they go scot-free
I also,
for the next 5
I
years.
also think at some point they should also have some certain independence that they know even the president cannot dismiss me. Now I stand independently to speak on what my people want.
Yeah.
Because if you're scared, oh my
they are
God, he's
human
going to take
beings.
me off.
But they are human beings. If you don't put an accountability mechanism,
We're not talking about non-accountability.
Put them to check.
Accountability is one
Like
thing
people can
that I'm
recall
so
them.
keen about.
People can recall
Without
them.
accountability, we have all of these crimes coming up again.
They are bound to make mistakes
It's
or
all-
whatever.
it's all political.
So I think it's important that.
I mean,
Yeah.
just to wrap up, gentlemen, we still, of course, stay with GPU as our journalist matters, because the GPU is organizing once again its annual awards night that recognizes the work of journalists and promotes quality journalism. It comes every year. This year it's coming up pretty soon. So we have in the studio Annet Camara from that award committee, and our Annet also is a member of Female Journalists Association of Female Journalists.
She's the president.
President actually. So she's about Annet. Welcome,
Annet.
Annet. Is it Annet?
Annette.
Annet.
Yes, please.
Wow. Shame on me, I didn't get your name correctly. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the awards before we wrap up the program. Well, sorry, we've taken a lot of time talking about another aspect of journalism. Yes, when is the award coming? And this year, how is the preparation like?
The award is coming the 16th of December 2023, which falls
We're
on
talking about 2 weeks exactly. Or
yeah, which falls on a Saturday.
exactly
technically.
2 weeks time.
Which falls on a Saturday, and of course it's going to be held at the same place we have it last year, which is Sun Beach Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
At Cape Point. And
Yeah.
as I speak to you, the first phase of the awards, which is identification of the venue, the time, and of course the date, shortlisting of applications, which is called for submission, has ended about 3 weeks ago, and currently the judges are compiling the final finalists or the nominees for each category, because we have 17 categories and each category has 3 nominees. So basically that is where we are as of now, and hopefully on Monday we will be having the nominees released for each category.
And do you know how many entries you've received?
We've received 156 entries for this year. And one thing I'd like a lot of people to understand is that the awards is not for 2023, it's for 2022 stories that were published from the 1st of January 2022 to the 31st of December 2022. So the reason why we're having late preparations or late awards for this year, like last year, is technically because Gambia Press Union is a CSO like any other CSO. It's a non-profit organization and doesn't operate on profits. So basically we rely on donor support, partnership and funding to be able to execute activities. So that being the case, you get to realize that this could have been done probably somewhere around January, February, and it's been done in December. And we're hoping that it would change eventually, but the good thing is that this year it also falls on the day of Data Hydra, and it also links to the previous discussion you guys just had, similar to the case of the bylaw.
So this year deliberately has been scheduled on the anniversary
16th,
of
yeah,
the death
of Data
the
Hydra.
killing of Data Hydra.
Absolutely.
Okay. And the categories that are, I mean, they are similarly investigation, sports, women affairs, environment. The list goes on and on.
The list goes on, 17. But what is good about this year is that it's different from all other years, because this year we are focused mainly on promoting security reporting, which is because of the security sector reform that is going on in the country, and it is very fundamental that the security sector reform going on, and it's paramount that we have Gambian journalists specialized on reporting on security affairs and security reporting activities, and it also helps in the promotion of the security sector reform. And also investigative journalism has been there for the the longest time, of course, but it is usually one of the least contested categories. And we, as part of promoting and ensuring that journalists report on investigative journalism, we still maintain it, and we continue to push and emphasize that we pay attention to it. And it's similar to rural reporting as well, because a lot of things happening in rural Gambia that is usually sidelined. So we are paying attention to these three. And the fourth one we give emphasis for this year's awards is the photojournalism, which is people behind the scene, the videographers and the photographers. Because technically you get to realize that a lot of stories that win awards are because of good photos, because of good videos and good images, but most of the time you don't get to see these images highlighted or portrayed. So this is why we are encouraging and emphasizing on these four categories, and all other categories remains the same, like you said, health, agriculture, women, sports, politics. It stays as it is, migration, of course, and human rights, human trafficking, so it all stays.
What are the judges looking for? Are they looking for feature stories or hard-hitting headline stories? What is the fastest way to the hearts and minds of the judges, in your experience?
So not in my experience, but as criteria that are set, and what is at first that with not eligible stories, which are opinion pieces, like you say, letter to editors and opinion pieces most of the time, and the basic journalism stories, who, when, what, where, how, why, even conferences where the president attended. We're not interested in stories like that. So because the dynamics of journalism is changing, we're now looking into professional journalism that has impact.
But that's
that has
stated in the criteria.
Absolutely.
You want a story that has an impact.
Absolutely. Stories that have impact.
Or that had quality and a lot of work done in production.
It has to meet the canons of journalism, and not just the canons of journalism, but it has to have originality. The story has to be original. As to what did you get the story? Because we're in the era of online media, and it's online media and digital media, and we've realized that there's a lot of plagiarism, copy and paste stories. So originality is one of the priority, aside from impact and grammar and style of the story, the presentation and the inclusion and in-depth of the story, and finally, I was going to come to that, creativity of the story. So this is what the judges are looking at, and these are the stories we pay attention to.
Quite apart from the recognition, which is quite important, I won the award in 1996 for sports. That's a long time ago.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
96. It's a veteran, and that was a GPU time.
Yes.
I got a ticket to Ghana for 1 week.
Absolutely, that's beautiful.
Ghana Airways. What do one get on the 16th?
We don't have tickets anymore. You have to revisit that. You have to revisit
what the young ones will get now.
So technically, as I said from the get-go, which is the reason the awards is late is because of lack of funding, and we kept on having emphasis on this. It's not about just celebrating excellence and having recognition and going home with a trophy and a take-home, but the focus is how much value does the award come with, right? So as part of our negotiations, and we hope it materializes before the 16th of December, is that we don't just want people to win awards and say, oh, okay, he won the award, Kimo win. Like, we want to evolve from that, and we're trying to lobby land deals, car deals to people that win. Because I'd always say this, it's quite frustrating that you're in the country. In other countries, each category is attached to CSOs, institutions or ministries that are in line with what you do. For instance, with the Ghanaians, you win a health story as Health Reporter of the Year. The Ministry of Health and all other health organizations and stakeholders takes care of that award. In this country, it's the opposite. They don't even welcome you in their offices, talk less of giving you that award. So there's a big problem we have in this country. How many women groups do we have in this country? How many international organization partners, initiatives do we have in the country? Technically, there should have been one organization that associates or aligns itself with the Women Reporter of the Year or the Child Reporter of the Year. So that being said, the likes of Child Fund they have been consistent, right? You now have the Ministry of, not the Ministry actually, the Gambia Tourism Board, that has been one of the biggest partners of the awards, that is coming on board, right? And we have always had FJC, Fatoumata Sandeng, who's exceptionally, wholeheartedly, doesn't even wait for the awards committee to reach out to her. Yeah. She just calls and said, I have a check for you for this category. And she's a journalist. Absolutely, she's a journalist, and she knows what it takes. But she's not the only veteran journalist in the country. She's not the only female that supports women. So how about every other individual doing that?
Last year, I bought a table. My company bought a table.
Yeah, and this year too, this year too, I'm saying it.
I hope they bought a table this year.
I will consider.
This year I've not seen or heard anything from them.
What about Kirfatu? I hope they are also going to buy a table.
Well, Kirfatu is yet to.
No, you have to.
I think we have to say Standard newspaper. I'm now talking as the GPU. Standard newspaper was the only media house that bought a table.
Absolutely.
Last year.
We will consider this year.
Yes.
We want the point to follow suit. The Voice, Foroya, Kerfatu, Fatu Network,
GRTS, QTV, iAfrica.
If we do
all other media houses.
Exactly. We are. Exactly.
I mean, and
self-resourcing.
Absolutely, self-resource. And the good thing is, I mean, what is $10,000 from your annual budget?
It's nothing. Standard newspaper for them is a drop in the ocean.
What is
Kerfatu for them is nothing.
They
can do it.
We'll consider this. Kerfatu should follow suit.
Yes.
Foraya should follow suit.
Well, I'm going to say this publicly.
This is an order.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So I was going to challenge Kerfatu, Fatu Network, GRTS, QTV, all other media houses, like you said, including the newspaper companies or publishers in the country, to follow it. I mean, it's a challenge. The good thing is, I mean, at the end of the day, these are your staff that are winning the award. So the 10,000 you give to the awards committee is not coming back to the awards committee. It's technically spent on getting awards, gift, and putting the awards together. So there's nothing coming back to the coffers of individuals.
Put our money where our mouth.
And where your mouth is.
And the Gambia government too.
And there's nobody paid. There's nobody paid to be part of the awards committee. It's not like you're paid anything. This is voluntary. It's wholeheartedly done. So I mean, anything you chip in goes back to your own staff, because at the end of the day, it is our own reporters and
exactly.
So I kept on saying this, like the president would say, "Oh, he's in for the press," but guy, you're not in for the press. If you were in for the press, there's no way you don't do anything for the press.
Yeah. Just so, like Senegal, they've given over $1 billion CFA. Senegal is at another level.
They subvent independent media.
Well, it doesn't happen in the Gambia, and I'm not sure it's going to happen anytime soon.
It will happen.
Okay, I hope so.
Thank you very much, Annet. I get it right now.
Yeah.
Annet Camara from the GPU Awards Committee and also president of the Female Journalists.
Women
Journalists.
Well, what is different?
It's female women
association. Thank you very much for coming and sharing. The preparations for the coming award. Exactly 2 weeks time, on the 16th December.
Yeah.
And where do you say it happened?
And it's the Deda Haidara Day.
The Deda Haidara Day. That's the day. Unfortunately, when we're talking about some 19 years ago.
Now. 19.
When it happened. Flex, Fatima, what would we say would be our last observation from the bylaw case and the one that's coming in America of Michael Sankoria and Usman Sonko, the former Interior Minister?
Ladies first.
Okay, he's being gentle now, so I'll take that. The ladies first. He didn't give me that in the beginning. I think he's tired. He's actually tired. He's like, ladies first. I'll take it, no problem. But on a serious note, I guess well, this is not the last time we are going to speak about these cases, of course. The bylaw case has just ended. Sentencing has been done. And then bylaw's victims are out there. At least they have gotten some kind of justice, and also they will have closure. Because like I was saying, when Flex was talking about families getting bodies back and also getting justice in court, you can never get closure if you don't have these few things being ticked. You would always be there. My person has been killed. What more can be done? What have I done for him? But it gives a lot of relaxation, a lot of, not complete closure, but a bit of it when you're able to bury your parent like we did in January. I feel a lot of difference from January to how I felt from 2016 to January of 2023. It's so different. When I stood and looked at that's remains. So one would say, oh, don't go there, you'll be traumatized. No, that helped my traumatization, because I was like, where was he? He left me that morning and I didn't see him anymore until that day in 2023. During that time, not only myself, my whole siblings, my whole family, my mom. So it really is helpful for the government to really realize that victims need these things. Let the due process be done and their bodies be given back, and also let victims get justice. So I am saying congratulations to the families of Dauda Nyasi, Deda Haidara, and lawyer Usman Silla, who's still alive. So we are he's in the US. He's still alive, but for the two who are not here anymore, Deda and Dauda, we're just saying congratulations to the family, and that we're sorry that this thing happened to them. But also we want to say that other cases are following suit, and we know we're going to fight. The fight is not stopping. The advocacy is not stopping. Nothing is stopping in regards to how many people need to get tried, because the main goal is to get the big fish, the one who is on the top of the command that he gave people to kill people's fathers, their friends, their brothers, who traumatized the Gambia, who is Jammeh himself, but also the people who bear the greatest responsibilities of these crimes that have been committed. Usman Sonko's case is starting in January. I must say that's just next month in Switzerland. And then we also want to assure victims and also Gambians that in the Bailo case, we've learned a lot when it comes to how the communication was trickled down from the beginning of the trial. It was lacking a bit, but then lessons learned from the first trial. You have a lot you learn, because this, I would say, the first UJ case that involved the Gambia, and then you have learned a lot from it as to how we trickle that information to the victims and to the Gambian public, so they can follow the procedure from the beginning. And one must say that the Bailo trial took a longer time, but it is the Switzerland trial of Usman Sonko will take a shorter time because the systems are different, and that of the Michael Sankoria case is coming in September of next year as well. So we have subsequent cases coming on, and then we hope that we will get other junglers, other perpetrators before that ends, and we set dates for those ones as well. And we tell the Gambia government that it is their responsibility that the other countries are working on. We commend the European countries, but we also ask African countries, where most of our perpetrators are. You talk of Equatorial Guinea, you talk of Guinea-Bissau, you talk of Senegal. You have a lot of African countries harboring our perpetrators, and they're not saying or doing anything. Why? Are we not doing anything near us and in our own countries, but the European countries are doing that? We should not also use these UJ cases, universal jurisdiction cases, to say all the cases are going on, so we should relax a bit. No, it's to show us that we are not doing our work and someone else doing it for us. So it is time to say, do what you ought to do, because this is your job that someone else is doing, and Gambia needs to prosecute these people fast and give victims what they need, because victims are dying and they need to see justice before they go.
Yeah,
Yes.
Flex.
I think
Can't agree more.
she's really highlighted most of everything that I was gonna say. That's why I wanted her to go first. I always start with the victims.
Oh, now
the
we
victims.
understand.
Yes.
He tried to push me to say everything.
For me, so she said most of it. But I think the government should not wait to only have all the laws in place, special prosecutor and some special accountability mechanism and all these things before they even try to prosecute. Some of these people, I can understand if some of them, they say they want to hold them for torture, even though we have torture now is in the books. Yeah. But some of these people, especially these junglers who they know, the government should right now be assessing the evidence. Some of these people, they should just take them and they should, like the Yankuba Toure case. The government didn't wait because they had to act. There are some people who there is no need to wait. Take them to court. Try them for murder. Yes, I know we, in the context of UJ, we want to try them on crimes against humanity. Fine. But it still serves the same effect. Like Yankuba Toure. And I know, imagine, you have caught Yankuba Toure. He is guilty. And you know that he did not kill alone. What are you waiting for?
For the others, like in this.
You already got this guy as guilty.
Yes.
He said guilty
He's
trial.
guilty, so are the others.
So where are the accomplices?
Yeah.
Get them. Don't waste time. Because if you want to wait until you set up all these mechanisms before you start.
That's why people keep wondering whether Yankuba was tried because he refused to testify.
He refused.
Or because he actually committed the crime. Because others who committed the crime
are
left to go scot-free.
Yes, he refused.
At least for now.
You remember, he refused to testify because he felt that he had some sort of protective immunity. So the court started.
That's what put him in trouble.
Put him in trouble.
That fast. That's soon enough.
And at the moment the court interpreted that there is no such thing like immunity. for crimes which are unlawful.
That automatically
against human.
Then that means that
human
there is no need to wait to grab the rest of them and take them. There is nothing to wait for. I think the government should go ahead.
Makes sense.
And this is what I believe should happen. Try those people. Since you have a guilty verdict on today, get the rest of them that are in court. And then since there is a guilty verdict on Bailo, what are the rest of them waiting for? Catch them and take them.
Yeah, that's another thing.
They did not even need Bailo's case, because those people have confessed already.
They said
they had nothing to do with that.
Bailo may have been the driver, but people said they pulled the trigger.
Yeah,
So get the people who finished pull the triggers.
Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Emotional.
Yeah, it is. I think, as I said earlier, this is a step in the right direction, that we are having at least people to face, justice, like by law. So government, they don't have any excuse now, in terms of saying probably lack of capacity or whatever. Some of these things you can do them without any stuff. So I align myself to the opinion of my sister and Flex, that you can start moving things even without waiting for international experts. Like, for example, legal reforms is just a matter of tabling a bill or repealing a law. It doesn't take you much. Victims, engage them. President Barrow should even call for a national dialogue with victims. What is stopping President Barrow to do that? What is stopping President Barrow to have a discussion with the security, and discuss with them around, some human rights issues? The president should be very proactive, and the government, as well. And communication is a problem. I think government should be proactively communicating, not to react on issues. You wait for people to publish and say, oh, no, this has not happened, this is the case. I think they have to involve everyone, the CSOs, the media, the victims themselves. You have to give each and everyone a space to participate, because this is not only government show. This is the show for victims, the show for every Gambian. And then let us allow this thing to happen, not to just, be carried away by probably lack of capacity. For me, it's the political will. If it is there, they will just press the buttons and it will happen.
Thank you very much, GPU President Muhammed. Fatoumata Sandeng from the Sandeng Foundation family, and Flex Dan Yusuf Tello from the Gainako newspaper, and Annet Camara from the GPU Award Committee. We hope you have a successful award come December the 16th. This is it in the brunch today. We will be back Saturday. Until then, enjoy the rest of the weekend.
committed with the country.
For poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.